A Bearkeeper's Daughter by Stephen Feinstein. It was the year 533 in the days of the Eastern Roman Empire. Juliana, the spinner of wool, made her way through the noisy midday crowds in the marketplace of the city of Constantinople. Far in the distance she could see the roofs of the great palace of the Emperor Justinian and Empress Theodora. Juliana kept glancing back to make sure nobody was following her. She was still not used to the idea that she was no longer a slave. Indeed, she was now a free woman, thanks to one person, the Empress Theodora. When Juliana reached the edge of the marketplace, she came upon a row of two-story buildings. She stopped at a small shop and timidly knocked on the door. An old man with a long white beard opened the door. "Yes, what can I do for you?" he asked. Juliana looked inside the shop and saw shelves filled with scrolls of parchment. "Are you Thanasis, the scribe?" Juliana asked. When the old man nodded, she continued, "I have need of your services. I need to send a letter." Thanasis looked carefully at her, squinting in puzzlement. The woman before him looked to be poor. "Don't you know that my services cost money?" he said. "How can a person such as yourself possibly afford to pay me? You'd be better off writing the letter yourself." "Do you think I would be standing here now if I knew how to write?" asked Juliana. She reached into her robe and held out 2 gold coins. "I have been saving these coins for a very long time, for just such an occasion." Thanasis nodded again and said, "I guess you have a very important message to send. To whom should I address this letter?" "To the Empress Theodora," said Juliana. Thanasis stared at her in shock. "Are you mad, woman?" he cried. "How dare you even think of such a thing? The royal family does not welcome petitions from poor folk. Why, you could be arrested or even worse. I could even be putting myself in danger." Juliana was becoming annoyed. "I do not wish to send a petition or make a request," she said angrily. "I simply wish to send a thank-you letter. I tried to enter the palace to speak to the Empress in person, but the guards at the gate chased me away. Perhaps this will help put your mind at ease," she said, holding out a 3rd gold coin. "Take this coin also. It is my last one." Thanasis's manner abruptly changed. The old Greek invited Juliana to sit down with him at his writing desk. In a kindly voice he said, "I will help you, but first I would like to know why on earth you feel the need to write to such a powerful woman. Don't you remember what happened in our city last year? Don't you know that it was Theodora's orders that resulted in the deaths of 30,000 of our citizens?" "Of course I've not forgotten the killings," Juliana answered. "Perhaps you have forgotten the riots and fires that prompted the killings. The rebels were the ones who rioted and started the fires. They were planning to overthrow the emperor. People say the emperor's advisors urged him to flee for his life. Only Theodora advised him to stay and save the empire. Then he ordered General Belisarius to put an end to the revolt. The rebels had gathered in the Hippodrome, you know. That's where they were killed. But I have other memories of the Hippodrome, much happier memories." "What do you mean?" asked Thanasis. "When I was a little girl, I had a friend whose father, Akakios, was a bear keeper. My friend and I used to play together while Akakios trained the animals for the shows in the Hippodrome. We were poor, but we were happy. When Akakios died, my friend became a dancer and an actress. She was very smart and had a wonderful talent for acting. The crowds loved her. I used to see her perform before the people in the Hippodrome. My friend even tried to teach me how to act, and for a while we worked together. But I was not as gifted as she was, and our paths drifted apart. She became popular with the richest citizens of Constantinople. She traveled to distant lands where her fame went before her. Eventually, she met Justinian, nephew of the old Emperor Justin. And—" "Let me guess," Thanasis interrupted. As Juliana was speaking, Thanassis's eyes had grown wide. "Your friend was Theodora," he blurted. "Yes, Theodora," said Juliana, and Justinian and Theodora fell in love. It still seems so amazing to me that my old friend, whose father was a bear-keeper, could become the most powerful woman in the empire. Especially when you consider that there was a law against a poor person marrying a rich one," added Thanassis. But Justinian requested that the law be changed, and the emperor granted the request, said Juliana. The two were married, and when the old emperor died, Justinian and Theodora became emperor and empress. "But I still fail to see why you must write to the empress now," said Thanassis. Juliana looked at Thanassis and smiled. "I would not be sitting here today if not for the empress. Years ago I had been sold into slavery like many other unfortunate young women from poor families. Last week I was about to be shipped off to a life of dreadful hardship in a faraway desert kingdom. The very day before the ship was to sail, my master told me I was now a free woman. I learned that Theodora had bought my freedom, as she had done for so many other women. I also learned that she had persuaded Justinian to pass laws to protect women's rights. Now, daughters as well as sons can inherit property. So you see, I want Theodora to know how grateful I am." "Why don't we begin writing now?" said the old scribe. "Tell me what you wish to say to the empress." He rolled out a blank sheet of parchment paper and prepared his writing tools. Juliana began to dictate her letter. "My dear Empress Theodora," she began, "my old friend, thank you for giving me my life."